Welcome back to the channel if you've been tuned in, and if you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe button, join the family. In this video, I'm going to be telling you guys some of the biggest differences between living in Florida and living in California, okay? Quick background on me. I'm originally from New York, and I moved to Southwest Florida. We're just on the opposite side of Miami, right? And I lived there for about 2 years, okay? And I've been living in California, right? That's where I am now, for about 3 or 4 years. Okay, so I feel confident enough to give you some true insights, some real facts. I'm going to keep this as not, as biased, as non-biased as possible, right? So therefore, I'm not, choosing sides or anything like that. I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to try to keep my opinion out of it and just tell you guys exactly what it is, what you can expect when you're living in Florida versus when you're living in California, right? So I didn't make this uh, ahead of time, right? I didn't really script this out, so I'm just gonna come straight off the top of the head. All right. First thing, guys, let's talk about the weather. Okay. Obviously, the weather is important, and everybody considers Florida to be a really nice tropical place. California, also a nice warm place with a wonderful climate. Let me get into the specifics, though. When you're living in Florida, the weather is going to be, for the most part, whether it's spring, fall, winter, or summer, hot. Okay, it's going to be hot. It's going to be warm. For the most part, especially during the daytime, it won't go anywhere below 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, even in the wintertime, right? I just got back from Miami about 2 days ago, and here at the end of January, and it was about 75, 80 uh, every day. That being said, guys, the weather in Florida is also very humid. And what I mean by that is that there's this high humidity, right? Almost this moisture to the air, if you will, right? There's a lot of condensation, right? And everything kind of has this dampness to it. So take that into consideration. If you're thinking about, hey, am I going to be hot? Am I going to sweat? What's it going to do to my skin? What's it going to do to my hair? Well, just know that if you're going to live in Florida, it's humid, okay? You got good weather though year round. Despite the humidity, it's beautiful. You have gorgeous sunsets. You've got rain every once in a while. Obviously, there are some tropical storms in Florida, right? It's a very tropical area, so you do get the occasional rainy season, um, right? And now as to California, right? California is really dry as far as climate goes. There's really not much humidity at all. The air is crisp, it's fresh. When it gets warm and hot, again, it's more of a dry heat as opposed to the humidity where it's wet. And, that's really a preference, a personal preference, depending on you. Um, However, in California, you're going to have more days where it's sunny and no rain, practically no rain, especially here in Southern California, despite the fact that it's actually raining today, and it's been raining for the past couple of days. It hardly ever rains here in Southern California. Now, up in the Northern California area, if you're considering moving to the Bay Area, I lived there too, maybe San Francisco or something like that. You're going to get a little bit more rain here and there. It's going to be a little colder, right? Northern California versus Southern California, little cooler up north rather than down south. Obviously, you're closer to the equator. You got more sunlight, so it's going to be warmer and stuff like that. Um, the plant life between Florida and California, the plants are very similar, yet there's more variety, kind of trees, I would say, in California versus more floral and flowery, ornamental type of plants in Florida. You'll see a blend of succulents and all of that stuff. One thing I definitely will say though about Florida is that there's really not much rock. It's very flat. California is very mountainous and very rocky, right? And there's valleys and hills and lots of that. Whereas again, Florida is completely flat. for pretty much the most part. You're surrounded by water for the most part. It's a peninsula, so you're really immersed in that kind of, especially if you're on the coast. You're in that beachy vibe, that kind of Florida vibe where it's, chill, calm, relaxing. Everyone, it's warm. The people are great, but we'll get into that in a minute. As far as the weather goes, what else is there to say about it? I mean, realistically, obviously here in California you got earthquakes, right? You don't get earthquakes in Florida. In Florida you get hurricanes, right, and tornadoes and stuff like that. Here, obviously, you got earthquakes and plus fires. You don't really get fires, wildfires, in Florida as much as you do here. So again, that has to do with the dry heat in California versus, the wetland and the sand and stuff like that in Florida. So the different elements and the different types of terrain, and plants and all that, and obviously the temperature all kind of work together. Um, as far as the weather goes, though, at nighttime, Florida, again, it could drop to anywhere from 30, 40, 50 degrees depending on the month. Um, California, same type of thing. It'll drop down to 30, 40, 50 potentially, um, on certain nights, especially during the winter. It can get colder. But one thing I'll say about Florida is obviously you're not really going to get snow. You don't see snow. Um, you know, unless you're maybe like way up on the way up north. I'm not. We're talking about southern. This is generally speaking. I mean, you got Orlando, you got Tampa, you got Tallahassee, you got Jacksonville. You got Miami, you got Fort Myers, and you got the entire state to consider. Just generally speaking, though, obviously you're not going to get that much snow. California, you can pretty much anywhere centralized, and then drive 30 minutes to an hour away up into the mountains where it'll be snowy. So that's one thing about California is that you do kind of have access to the seasons, if you will. You don't really get all the seasons, but you can kind of get an idea of the seasons, if you will. You can get a taste of the seasons. Whereas Florida, it's pretty much the same year round, just an endless summer. That's kind of what they say. Now let's get into the people since I talked about that briefly. The people um, in Florida, you could say that they are a bit more, depending where you're at, conservative. Whereas Florida, rather California, there's a lot of liberal things going on there, right? A lot of just different things going on, different blends of people, lots of Mexicans, you know, versus lots of Cubans in Florida. There's obviously a blend of cultures everywhere. You got Caucasians, African Americans, Asians, Hispanics and Latinos everywhere. Um, but being in California, you do come across a lot of um, liberals. People who are just free thinkers. A lot of people who are liberals and people who have radical ideas and things like that. Whereas Florida's a bit more conservative. They kind of follow rules. They're a little more strict on certain things, but both places are again kind of in the, how do you say this? They're both kind of lax, I guess you could say. Florida's, they're for the most part people just having a good time relaxing. And same with California, they're not really doing too much as far as stressing, um, because the quality of life is beautiful in both places. So the people, generally speaking, are happy. They're in a good mood. You got just bad apples in every place you go. Generally speaking, you're going to find, I would say, a more diverse blend of people in the major cities, right? In Miami, Florida, and then LA, Los Angeles, California. I would say those, you can kind of start to be like, okay, well, that's diverse. And then in certain pockets of places, you got predominantly this race, but then predominantly that race. But overall, people are pretty much the same. People are people, you know what I mean? So not too much difference with the way people are. I would say, to be honest, people in California are a bit, I would say, a bit more intellect, right? A little bit more intuitive, a bit more, brainy, and they're green thinkers and all of that stuff. Though I would say, they're a bit more forward thinkers and progressive. Whereas Florida, they're kind of just chilling, not not really too concerned with like all this tech stuff and all this industrial business and stuff. Again, though, that's depending where you're at. But generally speaking, you got Silicon Valley and You got stuff like that over here in California and Miami, Florida, which is where I was just at. Big city, but a lot of entertainment and glitz and glamour kind of lifestyle. It's a sexy city, that is Miami. But again, you're not looking about just Miami. You're thinking, well, what about the whole state? What if I live inland? What if I don't go to somewhere like that? Overall, Florida is going to be a great place. It's going to be a great place with great people. Nothing too much more to say about that. Now, the food. The food, obviously, you get your everyday chains and your restaurants. A lot of them are the same. Then there's different places in each state that have different types of food. You're going to get a lot of Cuban food. Obviously, in Florida, over in California, lots of Mexican food, a lot of Persian food. But that's not really a deal breaker because this is America. You can pretty much go anywhere and get anything. A lot of the cultures have kind of come together, and you're gonna see no matter where you go, you can most likely find a dish that you like. The food is good both places, so nothing too much more to say on that. Um, Gas prices are different though. I'll talk about that because the gas in California is about 2 times the price as it is in Florida. So just consider that. Gas in Florida is about two, maybe $3. Gas in California can be anywhere from 3 to 4, maybe even $5. Depending where you're at. So the gas is definitely higher in California, which kind of ties into the cost of living, right? Which is a big topic I'm sure you want to talk about. You want me to talk about the cost of living. Obviously, real estate, property, homes and houses and things like that are much more affordable. They cost less in Florida. Okay, the market is different than it is in California. A house in Florida, same square footage, same